Will your pressure washer not start? I'm Lance with the Outdoor Source, and I have a Simpson Pro 4000 PSI Honda powered GX270 power washer. And it's been very frustrating. So I thought I ran it out of gas before I stored it, but I was wrong. So I'm gonna show you how to get this thing started. I turned the water on, I tried to get it started, but I'm having a hard time. So I don't know if I have a leaking gasket there, because when I first used it, it did the same thing, but then when pressure was added, all that stuff stopped. So the pressure made it stop. Hopefully it will if I can get it running. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to drain the old gas. So I'll show you how to do that. So I have a bucket here, and usually on your bowl here underneath your carburetor, you should have a drain plug. It's right there. Okay. So this is a 10 millimeter. So it's gonna be a pain in the butt here. Probably gonna spill some gas. I'm gonna make a red neck funnel, and I'm gonna drain this old gas out. Which, see, rednecks know something. So my funnel's working okay into my Antler King bucket. So there wasn't a ton of gas in there, but it's old. And I can see, so the gas is drained out. What's left of it? Let me get that going back in here. So the first thing you should do if your deal won't start is get the bad gas out. Now, I'm gonna tighten this guy back up. Gotta be not gonna over tighten it though, because A, I'm not on there great. But the next thing I'm gonna do, make sure my air cleaner looks all right. So your air cleaner is usually gonna be underneath here. My air cleaner looks really clean. I've only used this one other time. Man, I was pretty sure. So actually, I'm gonna go shut my water off because I don't need this water flopping around. So I'm gonna shut it off so I don't get water where I don't want it. I'll be right back. Pressure washers can be a real pain in the butt. Now I'm gonna check this guy, make sure all is well with him. Okay. So I'm gonna take my cover, take this guy off. Air cleaner looks great. Now, this little spacer for the air to go through. I check in here. Now, a few things you can do. I'm not a professional mechanic, but you spray some carb cleaner in there. Hopefully that'll work. What I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna take my bowl off down here, my fuel bowl, and I'm gonna clean that guy out. Because that's where probably a lot of the deposits would settle, because that's where the gas settles. So that too is a 10 millimeter, and the bowl should be in the opposite. It should be straight underneath from your drain plug. It's up right next to it. Tires in the way, so I got to use an extension. I'm gonna have to go get a 1/2 inch. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I did not get a 1/2 inch. I got a very small little guy here. My smallest ratchet. Like I said, definitely not a professional mechanic. And this guy on the bottom is a reverse thread. So I didn't know that till just now. But when you feel it getting tighter, probably the case. So I take my bowl off, and you can see in here, there's some corrosion, and there's some stuff in there. So what I'm gonna do is take some carb cleaner, spray it out, wipe it out. I'll probably spray it out, and then I'm gonna use some an SOS pad and clean it out a little bit here. So, all right, so I've got this guy cleaned out. Use a Scotch-Brite pad, cleaned it out, and now I'm gonna reverse it here and put this back on. Now too, something I didn't want to show all that on the video, is I drained all the fuel out of the tank, obviously, because it'd be dumb not to. So what I did is I just unhooked this hose here, which goes right into the carburetor, and I took the gas cap off. That helps it drain better, and I just drained it into a couple of Gatorade bottles. But that's boring to show. You have a little clip here, you're going to use a needle nose pliers, and it'll come right off. But the nice thing is I could see that there was no blockage in my fuel line and all that stuff. But if you have old gas in there, you have to get it out. Now make sure when you put this bowl back on, you turn it so you can get access to your drain plug, and you're putting it on there correctly. Because there's a lip it's got to fit on underneath there. Some other people would probably tell you to try some other things first, but you got to get the old gas out. So I got the old gas out, did that, clean this. Now these are also 10 millimeter. So I'm gonna take my carb off here and check it. And this one's actually pretty easy to get to. So you have 3 bolts. I have one here on the side. And you drop them and lose them and all that fun stuff. And then you have one on top. Now I just want to take this guy to see if there's a whole bunch of deposits inside. Because I tried to start this probably forever. It seemed like forever. And my shoulder was actually hurting. I wanted to kill somebody. So this guy's just gonna slide off here. Now, all right, so we just lost our gasket here, which sucks. Set him on here. So there's a gasket that goes between your carburetor here and here. And that's what that guy that fell off was. So you can see there's a little debris here. I'm gonna go get a rag and wipe that crap off. Okay, so there's a few ways, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. So at the end, I'm gonna tell you guys how to store this correctly so you don't have that problem. You don't run into this crap, because this is horrible. So I just wipe this down. The seal looks really good still. So we're just gonna set this guy here for now. Okay, I have a little bit of stuff here. I gotta make sure that mates up with it correctly. Does all the things. But I'm looking at it, it looks really, really clean in here. Everything looks good back here. So I'm not worried about it. I am going to spray a little carb cleaner in here. Now, I don't like to get carb cleaner on the seals because carb cleaner dries things out. So I'm just gonna wipe this off and clean this mating area here. I suppose it probably wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of oil on the seal before you put it back on there to keep it lubricated and from drying out. But carb cleaner does dry out super fast. Okay, so I'm gonna check my seal, make sure it didn't pick up any dirt on there. And there's only really one way this guy can go on here, which is pretty nice. So I can't mess that up. Put that back on here. Check inside here. There's no real debris in here. I'm just gonna wipe it out anyway, make sure. This rag, although it looks nasty, it's been washed, it's clean, just stained, okay? Everything looks pretty good. So now we're just gonna reverse engineer. I got my seal on. This is lined up. Now this is just for my exhaust here. Yeah. Or it's an air vent more than anything, I believe. So I'm having a little bit of problem here with my choke knob. So put my breather in here. Try not to break stuff because I'm gonna get pissed off. Okay, my fuel line is on. So I have to turn that off. Okay, so you see, you do stupid things and it gets more frustrating because you're like, why didn't I do that already? Okay, so make sure my breather's in here. And there's a line on there, so it goes in there correctly. Everything looks pretty good. I'm just gonna reverse engineer, get everything back in here. I'm just gonna set my, I'm gonna set this on here because I don't want anything to get in there at this time. So you definitely don't want any foreign stuff to get down in your car. Some people just stick a rag in there, some people do whatever, so. This pressure washer was pretty expensive. I'm a buy nice or buy twice kind of guy. And I just tighten them a little bit and go back and forth until they're pretty snug. Okay, and then I recommend that you actually do this in a shop probably, so you don't lose anything if you have a shop. So I have this one bolt back here. I'm gonna get this guy in. So I've drained the fuel. I've cleaned the bowl, the bottom of the carb. Check the air filter, that's clean. I got this put back together for now somewhat. I'm just gonna leave this undone for now. I'm gonna tell you why later. Okay, now come over here and I'll show you the last thing you gotta check. And that's old Sparky. So you have a spark plug and a lot of people just change them every year. So I'm gonna take this off. This is just my spark plug wire, my ignition wire. So now I gotta get this guy out, make sure that he is not bad. And some of these are in tight spaces. So I gotta take this rubber grommet out. It's supposed to help you, but it doesn't help me with this guy. I had to take it out last year because there's not enough room here. They made this thing without enough room. Okay. Because the actual socket gets stuck in there. That's the problem with this. The socket gets stuck in there. If you have the rubber deal on there, it puts too much pressure. Okay, so we got her out. Actually looks pretty good. Doesn't look too bad. But while I have it out, I'm just gonna take it into my garage quick and I'm gonna use some 1000 grit sandpaper and just kind of clean it up and make sure everything's good. So, okay. All right, we're back from the garage, got this guy cleaned up. We're gonna put it back in. Now, something you can do is you can put gas straight in that hole, okay? To put some fuel in there and get it started. That will help and has helped. I've seen people put starter fluid in there. You can do that too if you want to, but I'm not going to do that right off the bat, okay? That's an option though. If all else fails and you know everything's clean, throw some gas in there. But it can be a mess. You make sure you use the right funnel, and that's why I'm not going to do it, because it's so tight. It's hard to get a funnel in there, and it's hard to not spill it everywhere. Okay. Yeah. Putting the spark plug back in here is a pain in the butt. After many unpleasant words and struggles, I finally got this stupid spark plug started. So now I'm gonna get this bad boy back in here. Now, what I could have just did is I could have just bought a brand new spark plug and never had to worry about it. I could have. But I don't want to run to the store and get one. Hold on. I thought that maybe I had it cross-threaded, but I did not. So, happy with that. That's why I had to go in there and give it a little sweet finger action. Okay. Most important thing is do not over tighten your spark plug, because it will break the porcelain. Okay, I guess. See, in the way this spark plug creates, oh man, you can't get the socket in there to tighten it once it's kind of in there. So I got to do a whole bunch of fingering to tighten it in manually, which is okay. If you have big hands and not little kid hands like I have, this could be a real problem. That's why these things get broke and people throw them away and want to kill themselves when they work on them, because they can be a real pain in the butt. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Okay, so I got that guy on there. Now we're in business. I know it's not cross-threaded. Okay, that's it. Got my spark plug. Now you can audibly hear this click. Listen, boom, I know it's on. All right, we checked the spark plug. We checked the air cleaner. We checked, clean the bowl, clean the carburetor. We got good connection here. Now there's a little thing on the cap too that people have to look out for. So on the fuel cap here, you gotta make sure that these little breather holes aren't plugged with corrosion and stuff, because that'll mess you up too. So it's something to keep in the back of your mind. All right. Okay, so we're gonna put some gas in here finally. So on this particular power washer, you can't run anything that's under 89. So this is 93 octane. Now, if you took the fuel line off to drain the gas tank, you need to check once you put some gas in here and make sure that you're not leaking any, because that could start a fire and all sorts of bad things. So, gas in there. Okay, we're on. Checking my fuel line here. Nothing's leaking. Feeling, everything's looking great. Okay. So, now we're gonna get into starting this guy. I'm gonna rehook up my hose. I'm gonna pull on it. It's okay, so. Now, some main points when you start this, or try to start it. You need to make sure your hose isn't kinked. You need to make sure that you hold the handle, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now we're to starting your pressure washer for the first time. You have to prime the pump inside the water, so you got to hold this monkey for, they say, like minutes. I'm gonna hold it for 30 seconds, so we're just gonna probably fast forward this. La 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 la. This guy's leaking all over. Hopefully it's because there's no pressure in the line and it just needs some pressure, but that isn't looking good. We'll see. So I'm holding this guy, I'm priming the water pump, leaking water everywhere. Who the bleep knows what's wrong, or if anything's wrong. So I would say that's good. So I'm gonna turn this guy off. I have some starter fluid. So to help myself, I'm going to put a little starting fluid down here. Okay. I'm gonna put this guy on. I'm going to quickly wing nut him in place. Cap on. All right, so you want to turn your choke all the way over this way. Turn the fuel on. Turn the ignition on. I'm gonna turn my RPMs to about the middle. Very, very important, pull the wand while you pull. And this was a one start pull last time I started it. Nope. Oh man. Now I'm gonna slide my choke over. Turn my RPMs up. She started, but this thing's leaking a lot of water and I don't like it, so I got to figure that out. Okay, so the power washer was leaking all over the place. I took the male end out here and I looked in there in the seal. The gasket was actually like not where it was supposed to be, so we're gonna check right now to see if it's fixed, because I took it out and I put it back where how it's supposed to be in there. So we're gonna check, because even without the power washer on, I was losing water everywhere. So I gotta walk my happy ass over here and turn this water on again. Okay, so we see we're not leaking now. And as I prime this pump, before we were leaking. So we're not leaking. Which is awesome. So thought I was gonna have to go try to find a seal for it. And I can actually hear it going through the pump. To store this guy properly, if you're gonna store this and you're done for the year, you need to make sure you get all the water out of that pump, because if it freezes in that pump, you're gonna have a problem and it's gonna wreck your pump. And those are expensive to fix. Next, you want to either run it completely out of gas, or you want to drain this bowl here just like I showed you to clean it. You want to drain all the fuel out of there. and I would clean that bowl so there's no residue on there and put it back on, and that's how you should store it. And then you should never have a problem with anything the next year because it's empty. Clean it, empty it out, put it away. Another thing you can do is if you live in a state or near a state where you can get ethanol-free gas, that's the ticket. You won't have to worry about anything. I'm never putting fuel stabilizer in this ethanol garbage. I'm only going to store it completely empty of gas or with ethanol-free gas. So hopefully this video helped you, but this thing made me want to throw it away and kill it and break it and all sorts of stuff. So I've got probably 10 hours into this mess this year. So appreciate you watching. If you like this video, got any input, any tips or tricks to help somebody, let us know. We'll see you on the next one.